listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. Buckle up, rough roads ahead. So, things are what they are. And again, all I was saying is that, you know, there are people that each of us accept and those we don't accept, and how we see some people based upon whoever we are. Again, we all have this kind of area that we fit into of people, a subsection of people. And we tend, like God showed me something that I didn't realize. And God said, you see, you're looking at that woman right there, right? And you think she's very attractive, right? White guys hate her because they can't get past whiteness. And I'm not doing the woke thing or anything like that. She was like, I don't know, it was kind of Asian, kind of maybe like a Filipino, or maybe a little different. Maybe not Filipino. What was it? What do they call that? What is that area? Like Bangladesh or something like that. But we also get to the point of, everything's like that. So I never knew how accepting I was. Like I couldn't see that Asian women are supposed to be considered ugly by white people. Or, black women are supposed to be considered ugly by white people, etc. So again, these are the things that reveal us to the haters, and they hate us for it. But then again, we get into the other things. So we all have something we accept, and there's some things that shock us. Now, the shock, I will tell you, comes from Earth or this planet. It doesn't come from God. I mean, I don't want to cause transgender people to feel less than they are. However, when we look at lepers, Jesus didn't go, "Oh, get away from me." Christians are like that. So again, when you run the race, you have to have that capability, and you can't be preaching at them. You can't do it. Most of the rebuking is actually rebuking people that you're familiar with. But then when you get further into the scriptures, can you actually rebuke somebody without offending them? Even my preacher said, and it's kind of almost genius of God to have him say this. He said, if it offends, so if it draws them closer to God and it offends them, then so be it. So again, he was kind of being taught something to get him around where it tells you not to offend people. So I imagine, his school of thought, whatever Christian school he was based in. I learned that within the few years in the Independent Fundamental Baptist Church. It's not really independent. Your preacher goes to a school, either Bob Jones or Pensacola or whatever it is, and that's his affiliation. So it's not really independent. It's like Southern Baptist versus, I don't know, Anabaptist or something. I don't even know if we have those anymore. However, the thing that we need to focus on is that if they don't fit into where you are, I'm sure God's going to put a place for them to fit in, but don't ruin the message, because there's tons of people that have been spiritually grieved by church members casting spells on them and hating on them. Hate is a form of a spell. So I brought up that one woman that seemed to be screaming about, she shaved head. She was screaming about, conservatives. And I think maybe there was actually a transgender conservative there. I can't remember if Blair and her boyfriend were there or not, but it was one of the older films. There was a woman and a man. And Blair being the transgender, kind of middle of the roadie, but almost kind of conservative. And again, when we get to influencers, and I don't know if Blair ever hears me, but I said, half of your stake is you make money, and I understand that. But the other half's probably you. Because if you were me, you wouldn't make any money. The conservatives wouldn't pay you. So, I don't speak to her. I just project because she's projecting at me. Hey, I think not Caitlin. What's her name? Dylan. I think Dylan sees me. Hopefully, she doesn't think I'm God. That happens a lot. But again, it's God's makes it possible. I can't. If God didn't connect me to somebody's inside, I couldn't talk to them. Obviously, it's a form of the gift of tongues, but it's a spiritual. And I guess again, I think that's what the gift of tongues was. It was a spiritual connection. So you have to understand in these things that it's going to come up that it's false. You'll see that it's false. Satan is great at making it look false, and at times it is false. Because again, Paul told us these things would fail. But it's not always false. Sometimes it opens up, like 5 years of stuff will open up, and you'll get little pieces of it, like in 3 days or something. And it's the past 5 years of somebody thinking in conversation with you. I mean, this is the type of thing I needed to teach people. You've all killed it. Because people don't in their mind. That's like that, because that makes them feel more comfortable. They have all the wealth and they win. The fact is, wealthy people. Thanks, Jesus. Good shepherd. He called me a good shepherd. From a Good Shepherd Church here. He gave me the good shepherd. Heal in the name of Jesus. Keep going. Only about another 10, 20 years, you'll be gone. I might leave with you early. And husband and wife walking out. Look like they're drudging along. I got to exercise. Keep the blood pressure down. Checking the vehicle behind me. Looks kind of shady. Oh, it's a popo. No, it's not. So again, when I woke up and learned what he was, and everything was, and they're saying, yeah, you have, there's a lot more to it that has disappeared. And then they explained how when Jesus went to Jerusalem, he brought. It's like, I think I used an example before. The rattlesnake, and it's not that radical, but the people that are like handle snakes for Jesus or something like that. And so that's what it was like bringing that to Jerusalem. It was a different form that they weren't used to. And I don't recommend anybody tempting. Actually, handling snakes for God is, I put it, Lord your God. So Jesus that idea. We want God to conserve God's planet. I know it seems foreign to your mind. God has to, and this is not the Father's kingdom. Well, it could have been if you sold Christianity, sold it to Satan and the FBI and DHS, state police, local police, foreign spies, professional investigators, quote unquote. I told you before many times, God gets the end times on, and the Christians turn the other direction because Satan buys them out. So again, the end times could come any day. The real government of God could be on, but it's not going to happen. You all sold too much. I mean, we're talking ages past Jesus now. What we consider Earth ages or planetary ages. Again, I'm not really considering this Earth. It's sub-Earth. So it's funny, it's just speaking with transgender people and how what their perceptions are. And again, I help them with spirituality a lot, just to focus them on not what you're trying to focus them on focusing them on what really counts. Same way God attempted to focus Samuel, or did focus Samuel, I imagine. Well, you're all erasing parts of the Bible because you feel strongly about another part of the Bible, but it's kind of that game, the sin game I speak about. Because Jesus tried to get people to focus on what was causing the sin. Well, if you want to talk about inheriting the kingdom of God or being an abomination, there's tons of us on the list, like everybody. Even Jesus is on the list. Why it was said? Well, I've explained that quite a bit. So that's some of the things that I help. And don't, because it can cause an aversion to Christianity and the Jesus. Well, because you have to understand, I've tried to explain it to you. It's like, that's why in the scriptures it says, woe to the thing that causes it. And that's not necessarily something you're going to see, but there are people involved. It could be gaslighting and crazy making. And you all get into that, huh? And made millions of dollars off of it, each of you. But of course, it's spycraft and criminal murder, or felony murder, capital murder. So again, the idea is that they're no different than everyone else in reality. And one of the things I do to help them with that is I explain that God killed Sodom once in the Bible. If you go and look how many times they rail against LGBTQ people, as far as God, and then count how many times God railed against Israel, you'll question why the church associates with Israel and hates the gay people. It doesn't make any sense. He actually hates Israel worse. Why? Look at the list of things God hates. That's why. A liar. So again, they're the victims of Ezekiel 34. Now the issue is when we get to the point where a church is not comfortable with LGBTQ people, if you're really seeking Christianity, you should go somewhere else. So what's happening is Satan is trying to focus them on their issues instead of doing the best they can to make the world a better place through God, through spirituality, through Jesus, that kind of thing. What you'll find in a lot of churches, they're making their own lives a better place. And that's what they're into, which includes running you and everyone else into the ground. Because Earth is evil. And this is even eviler than Earth, whatever planet this is now. Planet Hellspawn. Well, part of what I'm doing is keeping them up. And if we keep them up, then they won't have, they won't have guns and shoot people. Again, Audrey Hale was cursed to be that. Was it a direct operation? I don't know. I don't know if the FBI, I can't get online and look at all of it. There's a definite, okay, and then, I had Elon Musk in my head. I don't know if it's real or not, but apparently the algorithm could be taking, so people have people subliminally message. They're trying to shift the thing. Some are premature or whatever. They're on Twitter. So we have these lines of messaging. So the algorithm may be screwed up. Is where we were getting at, and the thought. I don't know if he received anything from it or not, or maybe it was someone else that works under him, and his face popped up. Or right. So the idea is that there could be a messaging trying to push people to porn. There might be a messaging trying to push people to look at transgender stuff, and there might be a messaging to alienate people from it and make people feel bad about it, and it mixes in the algorithm, and then it causes a confusion, and that could cause mental illness. But I do believe some people are. It's not all of it, and that's where I got to in the end of the conversation, in the mind that it's definitely not all of it. Some of it is spies doing what I say they're doing, whether they be professional investigators, quote unquote, or something else. So, I'm studying, I told you I'm God's psychologist. I'm not kidding. What I'm studying is the mental illness and where it might be coming from. And the point we're in now is, okay, so everybody's looking at what's different, what's going on. Now, I do know people are using spycraft methods and psychological warfare methods to twist people's heads, including my own. But also along with that, again, once you start doing that, that brings demons, and demons can cause the algorithm to do it based upon whatever they control in our minds. It doesn't let us see what it's going to do, that kind of thing. So I have seen brain twist via hacking, via spell check, via what do they call it, instant messaging and all of that. Direct messaging. I don't even use it because I can't see the person on the other side, and they're just going to keep doing their. The problem is right now it's just they're trying to get me to accept it, like it's a good messaging system. It's a good messaging, and what they're doing, if I accept it, is it starts wiring to me, and then takes me where it wants to take me. And again, some of that's physical, some of that's metaphysical, some of that's psychological. No, they're wiring to people and trying to make them criminals using demonic capability, and that includes psychology and physical. There's something here. Somebody's evil. The guy behind me. Well, let me see who he is. It's out way behind me. Some of them will do that. They don't want you to see them in the rearview mirror. So these three, there's probably more directions I could, subset it with or something like that. But let's say we have these three competing directions of thought, and maybe there's even a fourth or a fifth we could throw in real quick. and people are processing in their minds. People's minds, I think, actually process faster, but I think there's something else with like your mind dumps faster also. Again, you're dealing with a certain size hard drive. That's how your brain actually works. It has to dump information if you're trying to put new information in and there's no space. Or it just doesn't fit. But generally, if it's something you want to remember, you're going to dump something. And then we call it ROM, RAM, that kind of thing. So the question is that continual shifting of lines of thought stressing the brain and causing even autism? Anyway, they have a program that calls autism. They've done it to me a million times. Schizophrenia, they got a program called schizophrenia. What they're doing is they're wiring your brain for the brain activity that mental illness is. They're sick, very sick. So they took clinical psychology and figured out how to alter somebody's brain into those patterns. Now, short term, not a big deal. But when they see you heal, then they come back and do it again. But they'll say, oh, he's dangerous or she's dangerous now. We got to go back. Again, they did it to DB, I'm sure of it. Marshal Service DB. Guy was there before I was. I think he's the guy I replaced. I was the next person to be killed. Where am I going? To get gas. I've used up too much gas. So I switched out my sander. It was a weird one. I mean, hopefully nobody ripped it on purpose and made it, $5,000 just giving me a ripped product. Because they can get in there and do the psychology thing. Well, I think you should probably return it because, now there's time for us to adulterate it with the megawatt direct energy system. This is the kind of thing they dwell on all day on their victims' minds. But I'm sure they use direct energy. There's no doubt these people are evil. They would have come up with it probably the first go round that I noticed them that long ago. Like, I don't believe, what's his name? What's that guy's name that, I can't remember. The Secretary of Defense during, what was that? 9/11, I guess. Bush's, Rumsfeld. I don't believe Rumsfeld. He said, no, we've never had direct energy before. We're just going to start now. Right. I don't believe him, man. They lie all the time, believe me. I just watched him, segment analysis and all that, and body language. I'm like, Heal in the name of Jesus. Oh. Now, the young lady that's with them sees me, so she's a seer. Now, the problem is she's mixed race or color, a person of color, and they're not going to like that, and they'll kill her. So I just healed her because she'll see the seers. So she's actually. So if you go to Jamaican music, I went to Jamaican music for a while so I could understand what they were saying. I went into the violence part, but there's some other stuff in there, even in the violent songs. So again, there's a nation of seers, and they're killing the seers they don't like, which might be the real seers. I don't know. I guess they have to be considered seers, but I guess they traded their vision for evil power. So they can't see. Having eyes, they see not. Having ears, they hear not. So they see and hear, but they see and hear evil. Well, the other two people didn't see me. She saw me. And I'm like way off, just driving out of the parking lot. So she's probably waking up, so I healed her. drove all the way over there for that, God? I was getting gas over that way. No, this way. God, it's okay. Spin around this parking lot and then there. You're that person. Now go back from where you came from. So I fill in where, and so I think she's starting to see, which couldn't bring on paranoia. What you'll find when people go to college, a lot of times if they didn't wake up in the high school and all that, or only woke up a little bit, they wake up a lot in college and they have like an episode, a psychiatric episode of some sort. That's what that is, and they feel the fear. They feel fear and afraid because the evil seers have booby trapped the awakening. I knew all this like 15 years ago or so. God, like I said, God just started dumping stuff in my head. And they keep killing me and trying to erase it. I get so mad when I remember it. But again, I ask God, every time I get real sick, I say, God, make sure I can, give the information out at least one more time. So we're in the middle of that, but I think some of it's being given on a second and third time again. That would have been a whole different world if you just let my life be. Because I probably, if they'd have let it be, I'd have gotten to yoga, and it would have. Well, actually, let's go to the church. I'd have, been huge in some church somewhere. Okay, a lot of people know this inside, but they're afraid of it. Again, that's part of what they're doing is they're making people afraid to speak about the inside. The Inquisition, ain't it grand? Lord, it's so whack. I mean, I can understand their point of view on a lot of it, and I told the LGBTQ people and the Democrats that you got to be careful you don't go over. You're going over too far, which could cause a knee-jerk reaction in the reverse direction. They feel pretty confident because the younger generation is definitely a different type of people. So that might be true, but again, they can end up going too far. And well, he's losing the Jews, is what's happening. Because they've traded the Jews for the Nazis. Just face it. And no, Nazis aren't just skinheads. Nazis are rich business owners. A lot of them have places in Florida. They're just closet Nazis, I guess you call them. But I mean, are they that closet? They're actually doing it. Hate Jews, hate people of color. But they do the spycraft thing, so those people keep it all under tabs or under cover or whatever it is. The Inquisition, ain't it grand? Florida Inquisition. It's like I like to say, it's Nazi Germany in like 1928. Just waiting to form. Actually, I think we're up to 1935. No, not 1935. 1930. They said fine. Put that in my head to throw it off. And it could be any type of person could do that. So the idea is they're taking people down and they're susceptible to the vibrations on the planet that cause these changes, such as transgender. They don't have the protection. But at a certain point, I guess I didn't get to this part because something happened. But remember, when I was telling you, it's like telling somebody without legs to walk. It's that deep. So again, God understands that. But they have to be careful because they're going to get pushed by Satan to hate people beyond a certain point, and then it falls back on them. And I think maybe that's where they are now. Like they didn't have to be with God to get God's protection because they were victimized. But if they start victimizing, then it reverses. You see that in the Bible all the time. That's what's happening there. The victims versus the people that are victimizing. Again, of course, Christians and conservatives. Well, victim consciousness. It's all over the Bible. It's about victim consciousness. But if you will them to attack you, then no, it does. All bets are off at that point. If they will you to be evil, then you're still possessed by them because they want to be the victim. So interesting. Audrey Hale, police department doesn't want to release the statement or the manifesto. The only reason, the one thing I'm concerned about with that is that somehow the school was responsible for something. The conservatives are thinking the other way, that it says something, and it could be true, but the conservatives are thinking that it actually goes against Audrey Hale. It may actually go against Christianity and what Christians have been doing, and maybe even somebody in the school. Could be abuse scenario. So I don't know. You all know? I imagine it'll get leaked at some point. Somebody's paying $1 million for it. Again, the church isn't really the church. I'm being gracious calling it the church. It's like calling this planet Earth. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.